Scary Mysteries, Twisted Twos, Black Forest Haunting, and Simulation Living. Tales of hauntings, murder, and scary mysteries. Every week, Twisted Twos dives into a pair of uniquely terrifying true stories that are worthy of a more in-depth look. For this week, we focus on an unusual phenomenon happening in Colorado and the terrifying idea that we're all living in a simulation. Get ready for Scary Mysteries, Twisted Twos. Number 1. Black Forest Haunting. Tall, dark canopies with barely any sunshine, hard to find trails, strange animal noises, or eerie silences. The desolate forest can often become home to the bizarre and unexplained. One such wooded area like this is found in the state of Colorado. Called Black Forest, this small town lies in Paso County, close to Colorado Springs. Once known as the Pineries, the area is rich with Ponderosa Pines. Life here for the locals is slow and relaxed, and for Stephen and Beth Lee, being in the middle of nature, living in a secluded 2-story log home off Swan Road was a dream worth pursuing. So in 1991, together with their 2 sons, they left Louisiana and settled into their Black Forest home. Barely a week after moving in, the kids complained about strange lights inside their rooms. They also said weird shadows were moving about. The couple chalked it up to their children's overactive imaginations and being in a new environment, that is, until they too began experiencing unusual things. Lights in the home began flickering on and off. Electrical appliances would short circuit or suddenly turn off. Then there was the rapping. Bangs, knocks, footsteps, and thumps on the walls of the home and roof came at all hours. Even unusual orchestra music coming from somewhere could be heard. And it didn't stop there. At certain times, the house would be invaded by an unusual chemical odor. It would come out of nowhere and circle the house, leaving the family's eyes and nostrils stinging. Initially, Steve was a skeptic. Despite everything weird happening, he thought the sounds and disturbances were done by trespassers trying to scare them off of the land. So he then installed a surveillance system along the property. It was designed to take video and images to capture who, if anyone, was behind all the activity. But to the family's shock, the videos and images revealed unusual orbs, streaks of light, and glowing, undefined apparitions of humans. These strange things didn't just happen in the home, but also the surrounding forest. Animal apparitions and lights would appear amidst the trees, and strange shadow people moving about were also witnessed. Steve, still convinced it was pranksters doing all this, began calling the El Paso police asking for help about what was happening. And while authorities made 45 separate trips to the home, they never discovered any signs of a break-in or criminal activity. Tired of the complaints, police just ignored the calls from the Lees, thinking maybe Stephen was just paranoid or plain delusional. But the couple, suspecting something paranormal was indeed happening, decided to reach out to the popular TV program at the time called Sightings in 1995. The show would go on to create an entire series featuring the Black Forest home and showing just how strange it actually was. The first time the crew visited, they brought well-known psychic Echo Bodine with them. She was humbled by the sheer spiritual energy there, saying that over 20 entities lived on the property, and one in particular was powerful and sinister. Once there, the sightings crew were subjected to the same mysterious paranormal phenomenons the Lees lived with. When Beth and Echo were at the kitchen table, Beth felt someone physically holding her down, and she had trouble breathing. Then one of the crew members, Sherry, felt something pass through her. She lost feeling in her chest, arms, and legs, then began crying uncontrollably and had to be taken off the property to recover. She believes something tried to possess her body during that time. Aside from the emotional outburst, the crew's film equipment began malfunctioning. Cameras fell off their tripods without anyone touching them, while the equipment recorder would capture unusual peaks and electromagnetic interference in the rooms. Once the crew headed back to LA, Steve developed photos he shot while the crew was around. In one image, it showed a beam of light directly pointed at his forehead. The next day, he woke up with a large, painful golf ball-sized welt on his head. He rushed to the emergency room and went under a CAT scan, but they couldn't find anything causing it. Doctors simply treated him for the pain. 6 months later, the sightings crew returned with another psychic named Peter James. Like Echo, he was overwhelmed with the energy the place emanated. He was also overcome by a strong chemical smell. He turned to the Lees and asked if the name Howard meant anything to them. To their shock, the Lees did have a friend named Howard, who was their adopted granddaddy for the past 10 years. Howard had a son, Howard Jr., who died of a drug overdose. And James believes Howard Jr.'s ghost used the rift in space-time at the home to communicate to his father that he didn't die accidentally, but was in fact murdered. Other paranormal experts, including a Hopi shaman, were consulted about the hauntings, and he said the home is a rainbow vortex, one of the few places on Earth connecting this world to the next. Despite living with the hauntings, Stephen remains a skeptic and continues to spend a great deal of time inviting everyone from psychics to clergymen and quantum physicists to figure out what's happening on the property. Bill Gibbons, an electromagnetic specialist, was hired to disprove the hauntings and sweep for any equipment causing interference. He couldn't find any and has returned to the home several times, believing there is a fixed source for the unusual energy. He says it's buried underneath the house. Over the years, the Lees have learned to live with the unusual happenings. For them, it's become normal, even though it might scare off a lot of people. Steve still doesn't believe it's paranormal. He thinks he and his family are being used by the government as guinea pigs and being tested using holographic images and chemicals. Number 2. Simulation living. In 2012, the world was supposed to end according to the Mayan calendar, or at least that's what conspiracy theorists said. It was the year the Curiosity rover landed on Mars, Obama was re-elected president, Earth transited Venus, which is a rare event, and of course, scientists found the elusive and once speculated existence of the Higgs boson, also known as the God particle. And it's this last story that sparked this unusual conspiracy theory. It started on Twitter weeks back when a man posted a conspiracy thread stating that we all died in the year 2012 and that the world we're currently living in now is a duplicate world, similar but not entirely the same. The founding of the Higgs boson in 2012 at the time caused alarm for many, including Stephen Hawking, who proclaimed the particle had the capacity to destroy the universe entirely and cause the world to undergo a catastrophic vacuum decay. The Twitter feed was from a man named Nick Hinton, and he goes on to speculate that if the universe did end in 2012, would we actually even know? He goes on to state that one of the most compelling and simplest arguments is that nothing has felt right since 2012, and many people seem to agree. Time feels like it's moving faster, and the world seems to have descended further and further into chaos ever since. The theorist then speculates that perhaps CERN destroyed our known universe and moved us somehow to a parallel one, and that this could be the reason behind people experiencing the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect, or MEs, is a phenomenon first suggested in a Stranger Dimensions blog post. It's attributed to a physics student named Reese. The hypothesis supposes that at some point in the last decade or so, our world was tampered with and history was changed retroactively. Articles explaining the phenomenon attribute the name Mandela effect to Fiona Broome. According to her, she found out that many people have false memories just like her. One specific example is that Nelson Mandela died in the 1980s while he was imprisoned. Broome remembered Mandela dying, including seeing the funeral, news clips, the riots, and the speech left by his widow. Then she found out he was still alive and that he died in 2013 from disease. Conspiracy theorists jumped the bandwagon and pointed to similar examples of changed memories. Two of the most famous they mention include the Star Wars line, "Luke, I am your father." People were shocked to find out Darth Vader actually proclaimed, "No, I am your father." There's also another Star Wars glitch, the fact that C-3PO isn't all gold as most people remember, but in fact he has a silver leg. This is odd since even old memorabilia features the android as being all gold with no silver leg. Looney Tunes is actually spelled Looney Tunes as in the music. The show Sex and the City, which many remember it as being the title, is actually called Sex and the City. Mirror, mirror on the wall is not the iconic line from Snow White, but it is in fact magic mirror on the wall. There are countless examples out there of the Mandela effect, and these have convinced people that maybe this reality has been altered at some point. But what does this mean for us supposedly living in a simulated environment? Is it even possible? Some of the best minds in science and technology seem to believe so. Billionaire tech mogul Elon Musk thinks that we're currently living in a simulated world. Certain philosophers, physicists, and scientists also think that it is a possibility that our current world is much like a computer program simulated by an advanced intelligence. First, they point to the fact that the universe has an embedded mathematical code. Scientists solve all of the bigger questions about the universe and even our own DNA sequence using math. With this line of thinking, if our entire existence and our world is built up using binary code, could it be possible someone out there with a far higher intelligence already solved the world's questions and created our universe? Thus, we could be the result of a simulated world made by beings with intelligence and technology superior to ours. Second, there's the anthropic principle that points out everything we need for life to survive and thrive on our planet is just right. Our planet is just the right distance from the sun. Our atmosphere is made up of the exact elements we need. Our gravity is just enough, and we have water, air, and life on our planet, each contributing to sustain and create our ecosystem. With the anthropic principle, you ask, how did all these elements come about so perfectly? These are just two possible explanations for why we could be computer simulated. Perhaps the most frustrating thing about all of it is that we might not have the chance to ever find out if we truly are living in a simulated world or not. Because even if we do develop supercomputers capable of testing this hypothesis, the question is, were we programmed to figure it out in the first place? So there were two of the most strange and mysterious stories around. The world can be a crazy place, and Twisted Twos is sure to show you why. We have new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, so if you enjoyed this, then please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.